Game preview. Toronto Raptors vs. Boston Celtics. Something big is about to happen. The Boston Celtics are heading to Toronto, and there's a feeling in the air that this isn't just another preseason matchup. Something about this game feels like a warning to the rest of the league. The Celtics are testing rotations, experimenting with power dynamics, and quietly preparing for something that could reshape the Eastern Conference. But what exactly are they hiding beneath the surface? Before we dive into this explosive preview, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and tap the hype bell to stay ahead of every twist in the Celtics' journey this season. Because if tonight's matchup against the Raptors shows what many insiders suspect, we're about to witness the birth of a new identity in Boston basketball. The stage is set at Scotiabank Arena in Toronto, where the Raptors return home for their preseason debut, hoping to make a statement. But across the court stands a team with a mission that goes far beyond the preseason scoreboard. Boston's front office, led by the ever-calculated Brad Stevens, has made moves that most analysts still can't decode. With Jayson Tatum recovering from his Achilles rehab and Jaylen Brown stepping into a more assertive leadership role, the Celtics are entering this phase like a chess master revealing the middle game of a grand strategy that could define their next decade. The first mystery surrounds Boston's new guard rotation. Neither Peyton Pritchard nor Anthony Simons appeared in the preseason opener against Memphis, raising eyebrows. Was it just rest, or is Joe Mazzulla testing a new backcourt hierarchy? Simons brings explosive scoring that could completely change Boston's offensive flow, while Pritchard's rhythm and vision could make him the key to unlocking the second unit's tempo. The Raptors' defense will be the perfect pressure test to expose what Mazzulla is planning. But the real suspense lies in the frontcourt. With the departures of Kristaps Porzingis and Al Horford, skeptics rush to call Boston's center depth a weakness. But could that be exactly what the Celtics want them to think? Behind the scenes, Xavier Tillman has been training relentlessly to prove he's more than a stopgap, while Nemia's Queta's length and athleticism give Boston a defensive anchor that few teams are prepared for. And let's not forget Chris Boucher, the former Raptor, who might have something to prove against his old team, adding a personal edge to an already tense matchup. Still, the question that keeps echoing around the league is simple yet unsettling. What if the Celtics are holding back? What if this roster hasn't even shown its real lineup yet? Analysts close to the team suggest that Boston's rotations are intentionally experimental, as the staff evaluates chemistry in real time. The goal isn't just to win, it's to discover a new rhythm, one that could dominate once Tatum returns. Meanwhile, the Raptors are facing their own uncertainties. Jakob Poeltl might return from his back stiffness, but if he does, it'll likely be on a minutes restriction. Toronto was badly out-rebounded in previous matchups against Denver and Sacramento, and now faces a Boston team determined to prove that size isn't everything. Expect Boston's wings and guards to crash the glass, turning every loose ball into a war for momentum. For the Celtics, this game is more than just another preseason stop. It's a glimpse into the psychological side of this roster. Can Jaylen Brown handle being the alpha without Tatum? Can Simons or Pritchard balance freedom with discipline? And most importantly, can Mazzulla transform tactical uncertainty into a weapon that confuses opponents before the season even begins? Every possession against Toronto will be a clue. Every defensive rotation, every shot selection will whisper part of a bigger narrative, the rebirth of a system built on flexibility, pressure, and relentless belief. Fans might not realize it yet, but what Boston is doing right now could redefine how modern contenders prepare for a title run. And then there's the X factor. Something about this preseason feels like a smokescreen, like Boston's best version hasn't even stepped on the floor yet. When Tatum returns, when the system solidifies, when the timing clicks, the rest of the NBA may find themselves facing a version of the Celtics that's more unpredictable, more intelligent, and more dangerous than ever before. So, as the Celtics step onto the Scotiabank court, remember this: preseason games don't usually matter. But sometimes, they reveal just enough to make the league nervous. Tonight could be one of those nights. The Raptors might be looking for rhythm, but Boston is looking for revelation. And if the Raptors were still wondering whether the Celtics' future is secure, the answer arrived in the form of a fearless 19-year-old named Hugo Gonzalez. What no one expected was that this quiet rookie would become the centerpiece of Joe Mazzulla's most revealing evaluation since taking over as Boston's head coach. After that intense matchup in Toronto, Mazzulla finally opened up. His assessment of Gonzalez wasn't the usual polite coach talk. It was raw, direct, and filled with clues about how the Celtics plan to evolve this season. He listens, he learns, and he pushes himself, Mazzulla said on October 9th, and the tone in his voice hinted at something bigger.
He's been coached by some great coaches and has been a part of a great organization for a long time, so he knows how to play smart, and he holds himself to a high standard. So I enjoy coaching him because he listens, he wants to get better, and he learns, and he pushes himself. So just any communication to help him, just kind of figure it out, and it's also made some big plays for us. So just enjoy coaching him because of personality, how he carries himself. So he's got to continue to get better.
Behind those words lies the blueprint for the next era of Celtics basketball, one that blends intelligence, discipline, and hunger. But what exactly did Mazzulla see in Gonzalez that convinced him this kid might be special? Gonzalez, drafted 28th overall in the 2025 NBA draft, played with an intensity that instantly caught the locker room's attention. 8 points, 3 rebounds, 3 blocks, a steal, and an assist. Those numbers barely tell the story. His timing, energy, and composure under pressure spoke louder than any stat sheet. And then something unusual happened. Instead of pulling him aside quietly, Mazzulla began coaching him directly from the sidelines during live play, correcting, guiding, and challenging him to adapt in real time. It was a moment that told fans everything they needed to know about how Mazzulla thinks. But what makes this truly fascinating is what it reveals about Mazzulla himself. The Celtics coach isn't just managing stars like Jaylen Brown and Derek White, he's engineering the next generation. He's turning raw potential into system intelligence. When he said Gonzalez has been coached by great coaches and knows how to play, that wasn't just a compliment, it was an acknowledgement that Boston's young forward arrived already carrying the DNA of championship basketball from his Real Madrid days. Now Mazzulla wants to fuse that with the Celtics' identity. The question now is how far he's willing to go. Gonzalez will compete with Josh Minott and Jordan Walsh for minutes, and the reality is clear. Not everyone will survive the rotation cuts. But what if that's part of the plan? What if Mazzulla is using preseason chaos to build pressure, to see who thrives under heat? After all, this is the same coach who rebuilt Boston's culture around adaptability and accountability. And then came the unexpected. During his post-game remarks, Mazzulla hinted that his role this year isn't only to chase wins, but to shape the emotional core of the team. He spoke about communication, patience, and teaching moments that can turn mistakes into momentum. That mindset explains why Gonzalez is being tested so early. The Celtics are not just preparing for this season, they're sculpting the foundation of the next dynasty. Fans might ask, why invest so much focus on a late first-round pick? Because Mazzulla sees something familiar. A willingness to learn, to take criticism without ego, to transform feedback into execution. Gonzalez isn't just filling minutes, he's becoming a mirror for the team's evolution. So as Boston moves deeper into this preseason, the real story isn't about box scores or highlight plays. It's about a coach, and just when fans thought the Celtics' evolution under Joe Mazzulla was stabilizing, reality struck like a lightning bolt. Boston, a team built on precision and control, suddenly found itself at the center of a commercial storm shaking the foundations of its roster and its future. The situation surrounding Jayson Tatum's injury and the whispers of potential trades have turned this preseason into something far more dramatic than anyone expected. The news of Tatum's recovery from his ACL injury has kept the league on edge. Every training update, every glimpse of his movement during workouts becomes headline material. He remains the face of the franchise, the one player whose rhythm defines the Celtics' heartbeat. But as Tatum works quietly behind the scenes, Brad Stevens and the Celtics front office are confronting a question that could redefine the franchise for years. Should Boston protect stability at all costs, or risk everything in pursuit of flexibility and long-term dominance? Behind closed doors, the debate isn't just medical. It's financial and philosophical. The recent departures of Al Horford, Luke Kornet, and Kristaps Porzingis left Boston without a traditional anchor at center, yet there's a sense that this void might be intentional. The Celtics are not reacting, they are recalibrating. Every contract, every potential move is being examined with the precision of a chess player planning 3 moves ahead. What many outsiders see as instability, Boston sees as opportunity. And then came the whispers from Detroit. A possible deal involving Paul Reed, Javonte Green, and draft capital in exchange for sharpshooter Sam Hauser. On the surface, it sounds like a simple rotation tweak, but the implications are enormous. Hauser, one of the league's most efficient perimeter snipers, represents spacing, control, and a tactical weapon that Mazzulla values deeply. Trading him could alter the team's offensive geometry. Yet there's a growing theory inside NBA circles that Boston's interest in Reed goes far beyond filling minutes. Reed brings a gritty interior presence and defensive versatility that perfectly aligns with Mazzulla's evolving system, one built on movement, reaction, and constant adaptation. What nobody expected was the emotional twist of a possible reunion with Javonte Green. A player who once brought intensity and loyalty to the locker room, Green could reintroduce the kind of fearless hustle that defined Boston's identity years ago. His chemistry with Brown and Pritchard remained strong, and his return could reignite the team's bench energy. Could that be the secret ingredient Boston is quietly chasing? But here's where it gets truly intriguing. The Celtics are not operating from desperation, they are operating from power. The front office has positioned itself financially stronger than at any point in the last 5 years. Even with Tatum's recovery timeline uncertain, the team's flexibility allows them to explore moves other franchises can't. Every decision is being weighed not for this month or this season, but for the window that could open once Tatum returns at full strength. The chaos, then, is only on the surface. Underneath, Boston is quietly building something that feels both dangerous and deliberate. The message from Mazzulla and Stevens is clear. This team will not stand still. They will take risks, test chemistry, and mold the roster into something no opponent can predict. So when fans see rumors flying about trades, injuries, or uncertainty, the real story is this: the Celtics are not unraveling, they are reshaping. The next version of this team might look different, but it could be the most unpredictable and explosive one yet. The question now is, what happens when Tatum returns to a roster that has been tested, hardened, and rebuilt in his absence? Will Boston's opponents be ready for what's coming? Or will they realize too late that the chaos was part of the plan all along? If you want to stay ahead of every twist in this story, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and tap the hype bell, because the storm in Boston has just begun, and the next chapter could change everything.